Hope everyone is doing all right. All right, Harry, I got you on speakerphone, okay? So hang on, let me see if I can get Talia on this phone too, all right? So we're gonna have a work session.
Okay.
Hello, Talia, I got you on speakerphone and we're fixing to start a work session, okay?
Okay, thanks.
I've got you on speakerphone. Let me make sure I can get Harry off of speakerphone. Harry, you still there?
I'm still here.
Talia, you still there? Nope. Somebody may want to help me with this phone because I can only get one of them.
Did you merge it?
Yeah, that's what I need to do, right there.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Harry and Talia, can you hear?
I can.
I can.
There we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Baker will have to be careful with that. All right. Glad everybody came this evening. And we've got Mr. John Sparks here with Sports Facility Management, who's going to entertain conversation and questions from you. This has been an ongoing... Yeah, and Mr. Baker has spent, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes with their attorney on the phone over the last couple of months to arrive at a point in time where legally we are in unison and have one common voice. I would encourage board members to remember to use your microphone. Ms. Georgiana, we are live streaming, is that correct? Okay, so we're going to have a work session with two topics here. Mr. Baker, you want to pull your microphone up?
Yes, sir.
And kind of fill in a few blanks, and then we'll turn it over to John to give some ancillary information.
As we've generally discussed in bits and pieces, as we've gone along, in the event the board is inclined to consider entering into a management agreement with regard to the management of city parks, to include Bill Vance Park, City Park, Crimson Lane Park, Diamond Street Park, Ponderosa, Quarry Park, not including the amphitheater, Shiloh Park, Sunset Park. You have before you a facility management agreement, which has gone through several iterations to get to the point where we're at now. Some of the high points of the first, I want to tell you that we're actually not the first in Mississippi to enter into an agreement with Sports Facilities Management. They have previously entered into an agreement with the city of Starkville, and they are currently operating Starkville parks as they come online. Some of those park systems were new, some of them existed, but they're doing the Starkville parks. And so fundamentally how this will work is you will pay Sports Facility Management a fee, which is included under Exhibit B, Manager Compensation, which is a flat fee of $27,500 per month, and they provide the management, upper-level management, and day-to-day management, plus a deferred management fee as an incentive fee, which would include anything over revenue, as it's indicated there. They would get a percentage of that for successful operation of the park system. In addition to that, an operating budget will be established by the manager. That operating budget will ultimately be approved by the city, by you, and that will be the operating budget that they utilize to operate and maintain the parks for everything from grass cutting to concessions to people working here, people doing this. All of that budget is determined by you. I want to make it very clear. This is a professional services agreement. They are not selling us anything other than their professional services. If at some point the city needs to buy cups or Coca-Cola or things like that, those are things as the manager they will obtain for us, but we will be responsible through the operating budget. And of course, anything that is purchased that requires the purchasing laws, for example, something over $5,000 or things like this, we'll have to go through and make sure we get the appropriate quotes and all that stuff. They will operate it. They will maintain an operating account for revenue to go in. That account will be the city's account, accessible by the city 24/7, 365. They are responsible for accounting to the board as operations occur. They're responsible for looking for sponsors and other interested companies that may be interested in sponsoring parts of the park and things like this. They'll be responsible for operating all of the tournaments and programs and things that are occurring on a day-to-day basis. It's a comprehensive agreement, turnkey agreement, where they will be responsible for that. Based on the budget that you set, will determine in large part kind of the things they do. As you'll note on the front page, plus or minus, not really, let me find it. They are obligated to provide a pro forma to the city within 60 days of the entering into this contract. The pro forma is the operating budget. It's on paragraph 4.1 under term. Its initial term is 3 years, and then subsequent, it could be renewed for successive 3-year terms. The city can terminate those upon notice. So the initial obligation is 3 years. And really, that's an overview. And we have representatives here from Sports Facilities Management that will talk to you. But if you have any questions of me as you go through, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, we'll continue. Angela, is that center microphone on? Please, check that.
Okay, all right.
Hello, John.
Hello.
I believe some of you have interacted with John a little bit when we visited one of their facilities over in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay. So turn it, if you would, you might want to raise that microphone up a little bit, and we'll get the, as you talk, I'll look back in the back to see from Georgiana if we're picking that up. Okay. Floor is yours, sir.
All right. So a little bit for those of you who don't know who we are, I'll give you the cliff notes of sports facility management. We are a turnkey operation. We handle everything from the advisory portion of whether you should build or not build a complex within your municipality or as a private entity, and what it looks like. And we go into the design portion, where we will help you as an owner's representative design that facility and procure your fittings, furnishings, and equipment, sports outfitting, things of that nature. And then we roll into the management portion where if we were to take one from cradle to grave, we would then manage that turnkey operation based on the needs that you have within your community or what your facilities bear for us to operate. So that encompasses everything from indoor to outdoor to a combination thereof. Some of you came up to Hoover, Alabama, where we have 150 acres. There we manage tennis, soccer, lacrosse, big boy baseball, little boy baseball, volleyball indoors, and as well as basketball. We have a climbing center, and we have a splash pad, and we have 170 RV spots. And we also host the SEC baseball tournament. So all those are under multiple functions, and on any given weekend, they can all function simultaneously. We also open that up from a community usage standpoint, and we are very in tune with community use that's non-tournament related. So we have a usage report that we report back to the city council there on how many people run, how many people walk, how many people jog, how many youth programs are being held on the outdoor fields or on the indoor courts, so that it's not just about tournament play, it's about how we increase, and our mission statement is to increase the economic vitality of your community through sports. So it's about the children playing on the fields. It's not necessarily about whether we have 60 tournaments or 80 tournaments or we're driving a certain tournament provider through your venue. It's about the overall holistic approach to managing your facility to best support athletics in your community. That's us. Questions? Our specific goal here is that you're a growing community and you continue to grow. There's some 45,000 users today. We want to grow with you, and we want to ensure that the quality of service grows proportional to the people that are going to use your facility. So this is something we're quite accustomed to. We have 26 venues as of today throughout the United States, as far west as Pecos, Texas, as far north as New Jersey, and as far south as Florida. So of those 26, 19 of them are operational, and the other are coming up out of the ground. So we do take them from their inception all the way up through their operation.
So as we just hang on there a minute. So as we began to engage conversation with them, we discovered that they both manage from 30,000 feet, or they'll get on the ground and manage the whole thing. So I believe one of the comparisons there is Albertville, Alabama, where they went in and the city asked them to take over the entire Parks and Rec department, and they did so. So they manage the whole thing. They do a 50-50, if you will, where they engage some component of Parks and Rec. It's not only fields and players, but they'll do anything and everything you ask them to do, as long as it's in the vein of sports, something related to sports. That's their forte. So we spent a lot of time working through our historical budgets and audits, did a very detailed analysis of our historical financials of what we spent over the last 3 years, 18, 19, and 20. They took that information and basically created a performance range based on their industrial standards. In other words, this is business by the books, and created an average, high, and low numbers of what they thought they could generate both financially and in participation, attendees, from tennis to soccer to football, tackle football, flag football, you name it out here, girls softball. So we've done an in-depth analysis of that, working with them, and they provided that to us. As Mark mentioned, part of this is they generate a pro forma. In other words, based on where we are today and where we have been historically, they're going to create a pathway and tell us how far they can carry us down the road. So it's been somewhat, board, you've heard these words come out of my mouth many times. If we've reached a point in time where we have 45,000 people or 40,000 people or even 30,000 people visiting the city of Brandon. Many of those live here. Many do not live here. Many live in the Tri-County area. But somewhere, just like the amphitheater, between 30 and 35% of these people that travel to Brandon are not from central Mississippi. Many of these are from out of state. So when we are attracting that many people on an annual basis, is my opinion, and I hope you will agree so that we've arrived at this point, that it has kind of exceeded what local government can provide as far as professional management. So I fall in the category of believing professional management is needed to carry us to the next level, whatever that next level may be. I believe these are the folks that can help get us there. I believe so. We've got a choice before us. We're at budget time now, and as I've engaged John and Eric Sullivan, who couldn't be here tonight, and other people, we're going to have to make a determination whether or not we're going to stay the course as a, I guess, standard city would, where we have our own Parks and Rec director, who subsequently we lean on to hire people to do the various things that are needed in Parks and Rec, program managers and office managers and things like that. Or are we going to take a step to continue to grow what we have grown to? Now, we've invested a lot of our taxpayers' money and resources into developing better than average. I mean, I get it from all over the state. Everybody from the coast to Snowden Grove in North Mississippi, and everybody around here locally, they want facilities like Brandon. Everybody I come across, and mayors and aldermen that I engage with, they say, "What you guys have got to go on in Brandon?" Well, I believe that because you invested a lot, and we have invested a lot as taxpayers in our youth sports, and a lot of that comes from so that our children and our families and our grandparents don't have to travel everywhere. We can bring some of that here. Still want to travel. Travel ball is not going away. It's going to exist. But if we're going to carry what we're providing to our citizens and the people that travel here, and we're going to look at it through an economic lens of improving and growing our community, which, by the way, I've had some preliminary looks at the census, and we've grown over 4,000 people in this decade, which is pretty big. We're over 25,000 now. I'm sure Rankin County is going to mirror that. But I believe John and his group and his expertise, they have an analytical way of looking at it where they reduce it down to not only the dollars, quarters, dimes and nickels, but down to the penny about what we should be getting as revenue, what we should be getting right down the line, sponsorship fees and everything else. So I support them strongly. So John, I know I've kind of babbled there a little bit, but you want to take off on any vein of what I just said and add some comments to that? What have you experienced in Albertville or somewhere else where you've been from 3 to 5 years?
We have a large network, and we have some very mature facilities, and we have some very junior facilities. But those that are growing and maturing, it doesn't happen overnight. We utilize those resources that we have. So we're all industry experts. We've all been doing this a long time, me more than most. But and we have the ability to help you out in different ways from that industry standard. So if you need a decision made on the longevity of AstroTurf, then we have that background. Okay, there are a variety of us that are members of that national network of synthetic turf managers, and so if we don't have the answer, we go get the answer that is in the best interest in your environment or your problem, or how do we increase the longevity of it. Sponsorship, we work off of a crawl, walk, run scenario, at least in all of my facilities. The expectation on day one is a crawl, and then we walk, and then we run. I think that we started off Albertville with a membership program for their fitness center in January of this year with about 550 people that had pre-signed. I got a call yesterday, and we were at 1,850, which equals about 6,500 local residents that are using that facility for some type of fitness within the community, whether it's aquatics, whether it's tennis, whether it's the splash pad, or whether it's just going up and working out with the weights and the cardio equipment. So rapid pace, they went from crawl, walk, run very quickly. They are supporting their community with over 500 kids playing in every level of sport that is non-tournament level. So we have over 500 kids in the soccer program, we have 389 kids in the lacrosse program, and we have over 600 kids in the flag football program. So it's about those kids that are learning to play, that will graduate up to playing in a higher league, that will graduate up into travel ball and be part of the travel community. In the travel world, we have resources that reach out to all the known entities, whether it be USSSA, Game Day, all the prominent ones. Perfect Game, we have a very solid platform with Perfect Game, an elite baseball organization. And when we ask them to come play at our facilities, they come play at our facilities because they want to play at all of our facilities. So I have an extensive agreement with Perfect Game in Albertville. I have one in Hoover. I have another one in Panama City Beach, Florida. And then, so we have expectation of growing those within all of our network of facilities. So I think that that lends itself to economic impact. We monitor economic impact within your region and within your local area, so we know how many people are heads in beds. We know how much money is being spent in your local restaurants and gas stations and things of that nature, and then we can report that back. We have an economic impact in the Birmingham region with Hoover, Alabama, of about $60 million this year. We had $39 million during COVID. So once they released allowed us to play in the summertime between June 15th and the end of the fiscal year, we generated $39 million worth of economic impact to that region. So we are estimating in the Starkville area to raise an economic impact of about $17 million, which from their tax base in hotel, motel, and things of that nature will generate for them somewhere in the range of $400,000 to $600,000 in incremental tax revenue. So we monitor all those things and we give those back to you. So it goes from local usage where you may not see a lot of dollars to fiscal responsibility for your money, because it's all your money at the end of the day. When you approve the budget, it's yours, it's not me. And then all the way up to how do we maximize revenue as it relates to tournaments and bringing people into your community. And that goes from food and beverage to the quality of service to the level of play.
Go
I have
ahead.
a question. I know we've got listed on here all the different parks. Not all of these actually have sports played there, such as Diamond Street. I mean, it's just a park, right? So they would still be, I guess, overseeing all of those locations, correct?
In some capacity, but we're still gonna mow, we're gonna do
So,
all the
yeah.
maintenance things that we're
Okay.
supposed to do with all those. Their primary goal is to manage our youth sports,
Okay.
recreation, and tournament play on weekends.
Okay, so they wouldn't have anything to do if we're looking at upgrading playground equipment or anything like that? That would be on
No,
us,
but
or
they
would that be on
be,
them?
they would be subject matter experts to help us
Okay,
arrive at the right
okay.
decision.
If you
Okay,
need to look at separate vendors, or you need to bid it out a certain way, we'll get your specifications or requirements for what you want to evolve this to, and then we will help you get to a best quality product at a reasonable price.
okay, what about the employees that would actually, I guess, would report to them because of the sports part of it, but would they overlap on some of this other, as far as, because they're like a Parks and Rec employee?
Yes, we will maintain employees that want to remain on the PERS system. They
Okay.
are still employees.
Yes.
I've engaged conversation with all of them, including the lady who just walked in the room a few minutes ago, and been very clear about that. So
Okay.
they will also be hiring, and we may have some employees that want to step out of the PERS system and go into the private sector. You might,
And we have both sides
Speak
of the
to that.
ledger, okay, and we can operate on both sides of the ledger, so we can keep them on your side, and we are very sensitive to the fact that in the Parks and Rec organizations that we have dealt with, is that, the benefits package is very robust, okay, and so we're sensitive to that, and we don't want anybody to think they're threatened in losing that piece of it. So we figure out the back end of it, and it's usually pretty easy to do so, and then we're providing a management service. So at the end of the day, we provide supervision, we provide management, we provide resources to them, they provide resources to us, and we work through that. If they elect to come to our side, then we are able to take care of them. And we're a national level company, we have a benefits package, and we have, not quite as robust as a municipality, but we have a benefits package and a 401k. So based on their longevity, within one organization or the other, they can make a conscious decision on what best benefits them and their lifestyle moving forward.
So we're basically grandfathering
Sure.
those people that are already with us?
no,
And giving them the option?
no, they're our employees. Well, yeah, but they're not grandfathered, they're our employees.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if one of those left and we hire another person, will it come under his own?
They're gonna hire
management?
some of their own program managers. They will.
But what I'm saying, we're not gonna give a new employee the option of working under our program with PERS or with them. They'll have to go with them, right?
That's right. We're going to transition over time and see how it works out. Now, some of our employees do a multitude of things. Someone that's mowing grass, they might be helping out with the street department with those folks. So, we'll take it on an employee by employee basis. But generally, they're going to hire and we're going to hire. But at the end of the day, they're all our employees, whether they're contractual or under PERS. Because they're, I see you. But I mean, we'll end the contract, in the end of it. So they're working on a contractual basis. So at the end of the day, they're still your employees. Follow me?
Right. And we would be an agent of the city based on our contractual agreement.
Okay.
And thus, we have to fall within the guidelines of your bid law and bid procedures and other things, your banking procedures, how we want to set up the account and how we would then co-utilize that account, all becomes with authority of you and how you operate.
All right.
And it's different in every
Did I
municipality.
answer your question? Did I answer your question?
I'm not sure.
What was grandfathered? I don't understand what you mean by
We're
grandfathered.
saying, we're giving basically everybody the option of whether they want to stay on the PERS program and under Brandon's
True.
So if in the future,
or not, right?
right, so in the future, the decision will be made whether you hire more people, just whether you hire anybody, or whether you look to sports facility management and say, okay, do you need more people? And they say, yeah, and they go, okay, well, we're gonna amend the budget and you hire them. So that'll be a decision
Right.
that you guys, so it'll be a case-by-case basis, depending on how things are going. The board will ultimately determine whether to hire and fire anybody.
A good example of this is having 45 some odd seasonal and part-time workers. It would be much easier and much more economical for them to hire 40 to 45 part-time workers than us to bring it before the board and go through all the things we have to go through to hire those people. Okay?
But hey, all day-to-day operations, upkeep, upgrades.
We're looking through their eyes and our eyes.
You seen any of the parks? Have you visited any parks here?
Just about all of them.
Okay.
And, you know, we'll take them, we do a detailed assessment. We call it a complex assessment, and we have it written out, and we'll provide you as we move along every piece of what we think is in excellent condition, moderate condition, or condition that needs to be replaced and or repaired. We work off of a basis of safety first. So if we see something that's at a park and we think it needs immediate attention, we would come to you and say, this needs immediate attention. Just finished an assessment in Odessa, Texas last week on a 100-acre facility that is owned by the University of Texas Permian Basin. And we are finishing that report this week, and it will have a large quantity of items that need to be replaced right now because they haven't maintained it in the proper format, and they're prepared for that. And so we're very transparent. It's your money at the end of the day, so we don't spend it unless we have the authority to spend it, and then we try to spend it in the most wise fashion as possible.
Okay, we've got 4 minutes left before we start our board meeting. Is there another question we can get to really quickly? Angela, what was the second item on the work session? Yes, okay, that's a very quick one. All right, so board would like to ask, thank you, Mark, would like to ask your permission as we go through this to apply for a grant through, who was that? Small Business Association, yeah, from the federal government. It's called a Shuttered Venues Grant. Don't know if we would apply, but it's kind of one of those questions of you don't know till you ask and go through all the headaches. So I'm thinking of putting a team together to try to generate the necessary documentation and make application for that to the Small Business Administration and see what falls out of the sky. If I've got y'all's permission to move forward with that, we will. Okay?
Jackson Convention Center received a big grant, so did Tuscaloosa.
Okay. Mr. Baker says Jackson Convention Center received some grant money and so did Tuscaloosa. So we'll see if we can't mirror some of that. All right. We have, 2 minutes left? Any questions on the shuttered venues? Any questions for John while we got a minute or two left? Anybody? And we will have 2 board members absent tonight. Harry Williams, who's here by phone, and Ms. Talia Dobbs is here by phone as well. And I'm just going to keep y'all here if that's okay. Can you hear me, Talia and Harry?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay,
I can.
good. Thank you. All right, so we have members of the Mayor's Youth Council here tonight. We're going to lead us in prayer and pledge. And if you would go ahead and make your way up here to the podium. And here in just a moment, we will get started promptly at 6 p.m. Georgiana, is your voice coming through? Everybody's voice coming through all right for live stream? All right, so as soon as we cross you've got 1 minute left to go. How y'all doing this evening? Okay. Glad school's back in, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, buddy, I bet you are. All right.
Diane, how you feeling? I know how Harry's feeling.
Would all rise. And ladies, I want you to state your name, who you are, what grade you're in, please.
Hi, my name is Isabelle Johnson. I'm a sophomore at Brandon. Please join me in prayer. Bow your heads. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the city of Brandon and the people in this community. We are so blessed to have such an amazing team of leaders in this room. Thank you for the many blessings that you have given us, and we ask that you continue to bless and protect the residents of the city of Brandon. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Hi, my name is Sophia Cabanis. I'm a junior at Brandon. Please Continue standing for the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And board and audience, I want you to know that we have 70 youth in the Mayor's Youth Council this year. Exceptionally, well, I don't know if there's ever been a large crowd like that. We've got some special activities we're going to try to get them involved in this year, and there'll be more on that coming up soon. All right, so at this time, I'd like to open this up for public comment. I think we have some Luke Bryan, a drawing for some Luke Bryan tickets. Is that right? That's right. Come on down. So one of the fundraisers that the Mayor's Youth Council does is they'll go around and take drawings and raise a few dollars with amphitheater tickets. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Speak up.
Hi, my name is Sarah Jaro. I'm in 10th grade at Brandon High School and a part of Mayor's Youth Council. Tonight we're going to be drawing for the first concert raffle for this year. This raffle is a fundraiser for our Mayor's Youth Council to help fund scholarships and community activities throughout the year. Tonight we're going to be raffling 2 tickets for the Luke Bryan concert on Saturday, August 29th. Gary Jordan. Do I say his phone number?
No.
Okay. No. And Mitzi Merritt.
That's what I thought. Just point of order there. I think that concert is on Sunday, is it not?
Oh, it's at Saturday.
And Harry Connick is on Saturday, I think. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. You done good. Keep up the good work. All right. Is there anyone else here at this time who would like to make public comment before the board? Come on. Come on, Christy. Oh, yes, either one. Yeah, come on. And look, we got all these empty chairs on the front row.
Good evening. My name is Naomi Pack. I live at 207 Diamond Street here in Brandon. The only thing I want to ask you all to consider is to come over and clean a ditch. There's a ditch at 104 and 106 Royal Street that really needs to be cleaned out really, really bad. There's a lady that's 80-something years old that lives there, and I have already reported this 3 years, and no one has done anything. So I'm asking you again to consider it. I'm also asking if we can get an electric power pole in our park on the corner of Royal and Diamond Street. Sometimes we have activities down there. Of course, you can't have anything in the dark. So if we can get a power pole put down there and use it as we need it, we really would appreciate that. And the last thing I want to ask you to do, if I could get someone to come over, if you all can get someone to come over and cut some grass on Diamond Street between 207, 305, and 309. If we can get someone to come down that street and cut that grass, we really would appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you, Miss Naomi. Now, I don't know about a power pole that you can plug into, but a power pole with a night light might be doable. But and the other thing on the cutting of that grass, we did recently do, you see Mr. Dodd here, Matt's writing down those addresses. We recently passed an ordinance where we can go in and mow a yard or something of the less than $100 worth of value and do a lien on that. Have we not, Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
So
It's not our yard, it's the side.
All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Mr. Dodd and Mr. Smith here have the ball on that, and we're going to be holding them accountable here in short order.
And you said, what about, again, about the electric?
Well, putting an electrical meter out there where anybody can tie into to use power, I don't know that that's something we can do, but we'll look into it.
Can it ever be done where you can only cut it on when we need to use it?
We'll look into it, maybe put a smart meter there or something. We'll figure it out. We'll get to looking into it.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Christie?
Hello, I'm Christy Walker. I'm a counselor at McLaurin High School. I'm strictly here to ask a question or a favor or, I don't know. I am interested in purchasing some of the rocks, and for a better term, that's all I know to call them, like the ones behind Trustmark or other places in the city. I don't know really how to go about doing that, so that's why I'm here, to ask if I could purchase those. And it's just for my house, for landscaping, and I don't even really know what to do past this point, but I was told to come and ask, and so here I am, asking.
So Miss Christie and I went back and forth with text
We
and
did.
phone conversations and that kind of thing, and I advised her that on behalf of the mayor's office, we can't give anything away like that.
Absolutely,
So-
and I get it. I just was asking questions, and so here I am to ask questions.
So,
I don't
Mr.
really
Baker,
know.
you want to stop typing there for a minute? Help. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you. So, as the board is aware, if there is something that is city property, the first thing that you would have to declare is that it is surplus. If you determine that it should be declared surplus. If in fact you declare it as surplus, then you have to declare whether it has any value and if it should be sold. A lot of times we declare surplus items and you sell it at auction. Sometimes you declare it as surplus and you take it to the government exchange and then you can get furniture there. And sometimes you declare it as surplus and say that it has no value and you dispose of it, put it in the dumpster, throw it away. So before you could get to any of that, you'd have to determine whether any of that applies to what she's talking about. I assume we're talking about some of the excavated rock around the quarry, a lot of which is used in landscaping and other things, and so I'm not really sure about planning, but ultimately, you know, to go through the process as a board, you would have to declare property as surplus before you could sell it and give it away.
Would you have to come up with a value for it?
Yes, sir. At some point, you would have to determine a value, and if the value is reasonably determined to be over $1,000, then you'd have to put a notice in the paper and say you're going to sell it, if you're not going to sell it at public auction or something like this.
I think I remember another agency giving away some of that rock, and it ended up costing them $25,000 or something around there. So we need to be careful whatever we do.
Absolutely.
And if it's not doable, I understand that. I just didn't know the process, so I was just here to ask.
Well, ultimately, if the board would have to declare the property to be surplus. And if at some point the board does that, I don't think they're going to do it tonight. If they were to do that, then there's a process they would go through with regard to that.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure there's been any consensus or discussion about that.
Okay.
So at some point, if they do, they'll contact you.
They'll contact, okay.
Yes,
So do I
ma'am.
leave my information, or is it already there?
I think you got it.
Yeah, I've got your phone
Okay,
number.
okay, so thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else to come before the board tonight in public comment? Did you raise your heads? Ted, would you like to speak?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Saw your hands go up. I thought you, me too. Huh? All right. All right, seeing no further, we'll move on through the agenda. Under old business, approve the regular board meeting minutes of August the 2nd, 2021, and the special board meeting minutes of August 6th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack. Second by Mr. Lou Coker. Any discussion on any of that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you. Talia? Okay. 7-0, Mark. Okay. Under the mayor, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll take these all together, but I'll stop and offer explanation on a few of those if necessary. And as necessary, consideration to approve the continuation of local emergency for an additional 30 days or such time that the governor of Mississippi lifts the state of emergency, whichever comes first. I've explained that to others in the past. For those of you in the audience, it does allow us to offer up to 10 days of administrative leave for city employees should they contract the virus, and there have been some number of employees that have contracted it in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So we want to keep that open and take care of our employees. Item 2, consideration to transfer Georgiana Keenum from Community Development Office Manager to Constituent Services Manager. Approve the job description and set rate of pay effective August the 18th, 2021 in accordance with a memo. And Ms. Georgiana is with us tonight in the back corner. Appreciate you being there. Item 3, request permission to apply for a U.S. Small Business Administration Shuttered Venues Operators Grant Program and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute all related documents. Spoke to that in a work session. Don't know if we're what's applicable here, but I think it's worth spending some time and energy to find out. Item 4, consideration to approve an advertisement in Rankin County News for Brandon Bulldogs football in the amount of $300 for the purpose of advertising and to bring into favorable notice of opportunities and possibilities of the city. Go Dogs. Item 5, consideration to approve a facility management agreement between the City of Brandon and Sports Facilities Management, LLC, and authorize the mayor to execute all related documents. And Mr. John Sparks was here this evening during the work session, and many of these folks have been in and out of the city over the last 4 or 5 months, engaging us in conversation, and I believe it's the right thing to do. So, Board, is there a motion to approve those 5 items? Motion by Mr. Chris Vincent, second by Mr. Lou Coker. Are there questions or comments? Other thing by anyone? Talia and Harry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we got a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on through the agenda, Ms. Angela Bean. Well, all opposed, like sign? They all said aye. How can it be?
May I take all of these items together?
Yes, ma'am. Slowly, please.
First item is consideration to approve the publication of Section 3 Business and Employment Notice with regard to the Apple Ridge Morrow or CDBG Sewer Improvements Project. Number 2.
Ms. Angela, if you would, Charles, when you get up there, I want you to spend some time speaking on that, please. If you don't, I will, or Matthew Miller will. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Number 2, consideration to approve the Live Nation sell-off agreement for the Luke Bryan performance at the Brandon Amphitheater on August 29th. Authorize the mayor to execute the same and approve all related expenditures. Number 3, consideration to approve the fiscal year 2021 budget amendments and authorize publication of the same. Number 4, set a public hearing on August 26, 21 at 6:00 p.m. in the boardroom regarding the fiscal year 2022 taxing and spending plan. Number 5, consideration to approve the docket of claims for August 17 and the Fox Everett claims released on July 30th and August 12th.
Thank you, Ms. Angela. Is there a motion to approve those 5 items? Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack.
Second.
I'm going to get you to raise your hand because I can't see your lips move, so do your hand like that. Yeah, good?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Jared Crane. Any further comment or question on any of those items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, even though everybody agreed. Mr. Baker? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dodd?
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
have 3 items, take all separately.
Yes, please.
All right. Item 1 is public hearing and board action with regard to the consideration of a conditional use application request for Shirley Bogandine for 99 Diamond Street. That's parcel I8P-18.
Mr. Dodd, can you advise the board as to whether all the prerequisites of the public hearing have been met?
Yes, they have.
And was the matter presented to the Planning Commission?
It was.
What was the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
They recommended approval of the conditional use request pursuant to the staff report.
Okay. And in particular, the staff report was prepared with regard to the proposed application, is that correct?
That's correct.
And during the period of the matter being pending before the Planning Commission and now, since application, have you received any particular public comment, written or otherwise, with regard to the application?
No.
Okay. Will you generally describe the application for the audience?
Ms. Shirley Bogandine is requesting a conditional use permit for 99 Diamond Street to operate a daycare center at that location. The property is zoned RM8, and a conditional use request or approval by the board is required for a daycare use in that zoning district.
Okay. Under the terms of the city's zoning ordinance, in order to grant a conditional use, the elements of 9.7.2 are required to be addressed. to the satisfaction of the board. Have you mentioned or addressed each of those elements in your staff report?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And it is the consensus of staff of what?
To recommend approval of the conditional use permit pursuant to the staff report.
Okay. And when you say pursuant to the staff report, are there any particular conditions that are as part of the recommendation?
No.
Okay. Having heard the general description of the application pending before the board with regard to a conditional use permit, is there anyone who desires to make any particular public comment with regard to the same? First asking for those in favor of. The applicant doesn't need to appear if she's already appeared through the application, but if there's anyone else who desires to appear in favor of the application. Is there anyone who desires to appear in opposition to the application? Is there anyone who desires to make any particular public comment with regard to the application? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
All right, the public hearing is closed. I personally believe it's a good use of this facility at this location, board. So I would encourage you to approve that request. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson.
Second.
Second by Ms. Talia Dobbs. Any other comment, question, observation? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 7-0. All right, that's good.
All right, item
Any opposed? No.
Nope.
Everybody voted yes. I think we're going to do this quite frequently, Mr. Baker. All right, item 2. Go ahead, item 2.
Item 2 is public hearing and board action with regard to the consideration of proposed amendments to the official zoning ordinance of the city of Brandon.
Doc, can you advise the board as to
You're not on.
Can you advise the board as to whether all the prerequisites of the public hearing have been met?
Yes, they have.
Was the matter presented to the planning commission?
Yes, it was.
What was the recommendation of the planning
A
commission?
recommended approval to the zoning ordinance amendments.
Was a staff report prepared with regard to the application?
Yes.
And is that provided to the board?
Yes, it is.
And as with the last public hearing, are you asking that the staff report and the related attachments be appended to the minutes of the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Can you generally describe for the board the application or the action sought by your department with regard to the zoning ordinance change?
Yes, there are basically 5 proposed amendments. One is regarding accessory buildings in residential districts. Our current ordinance only allows for accessory buildings in side yards in the RR district. We are recommending that those also be allowed in R12 district in side yard, but they have to be accessory buildings such as detached garages or carports are permitted in the side yard only if the architecture of said building matches the main dwelling and is constructed of like materials, finishes, and colors. The second amendment has to do with the RH Suburban High Density Residential District. The minimum floor area per dwelling unit in that district is specified as 1,400 square feet. That would encompass all dwelling units in that district, whether it's an apartment or a single-family dwelling. We feel like that was a mistake where the clarification needs to be made that that is 1,400 square feet for single-family residential units in that district and not apartments.
Okay.
We were recommending adding psychic fortune teller use. It was not defined in the current ordinance. We're recommending defining that use and designating which districts that use is permitted in. We are recommending removal of accessory uses and equipment to the section 5.4, which is the design standards table. That accessory uses and equipment is no longer in that table, so we're removing that from the description. And then also for public notice, which is regarding the signs that we post on properties that are being considered for a public hearing. We have one sign for all, whether it's a dimensional variance, conditional use, or rezoning request, and it's just kind of clarifies the sign type that we put out on those properties.
Having heard a general explanation of the proposed amendments to the ordinance, administrative amendments to the ordinance, is there anyone here who desires to make any public comment with regard to the same? First asking for those who would like to speak in favor of the proposed changes, and Mr. Dodd's already done that. Is there anyone here who desires to speak in opposition to the proposed changes? Is there anyone here who desires to make any public comment with regard to the same? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. All right, board, what's your opinion? Is there a motion to approve this?
Go ahead.
Question.
I have a question. On this 4.4.9 with the restaurant with drive-through, restaurant without drive-through, retail stores, what are we changing on those?
Oh, that is just, so it's currently in section 44920, restaurant with drive-through. It's now, because we added psychic fortune teller, is now in section 44921. There's nothing being changed, just on the designation from the section.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that earlier.
Thank you for the question. All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Luke Coker. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Sharon Womack. Any further discussion or question, comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
7-0, thank you. We'll move on to item 3, which was added to the agenda. Mr. Dodd?
Item 3 is consideration to adopt a resolution regarding the adoption of an ordinance implementing a temporary moratorium on the issuance of privilege licenses or permits for junkyards, wrecker yards, and other similar businesses in the city of Brandon, and set a public hearing during the regular board meeting of September 20th, 2021 with regard to the same.
Thank you, Matt. Do you have that, Chris, in front of you? You need it? Do you need it?
No, sir.
Okay. Encourage you to pass this board. For audience, we are about to embark on a new comprehensive plan, which will be very costly and very expensive, but we've already approved the contract for that. So Central Mississippi Planning and Development District is already working on that. And I'd encourage you to slow down anything and not act in any way, shape, form, fashion until we get done with that comprehensive plan. It will guide us for the next 5 or 6 years, very important document that we need. And I know board members have been on board for a number of years, understand the complexity of a comprehensive plan. So I would encourage you to support that. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson. Second by Mr., all three of those about the same time. So I'll say Mr. Dwight Middleton. Any comments, questions? All in favor say aye. 7-0. All in, okay. All right, Mr. Smith, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, go back over. Go back. All right, so the question to Community Development is an update on 24 Thorngate Drive.
24 Thorngate Drive, I did talk to Randy today about that one. It has since sold. I think the owners come on board. It's in limbo between, because it went to auction.
Can you hear him, Harry?
Just kind of mumbling. You can just kind of tell.
Randy has contacted the new owners.
They've
and
been
they're-
contacted, the new owners
And they're supposed to be
today.
getting in there. As soon as they sign the paperwork and have the keys, they're going to get in there and mow it and clean it up.
So they'll be in there when they get the keys, sign the contract and all that. You expect that to happen before Friday?
I think soon. I'll
Soon
get with
is what?
Randy. I don't know if he knows the exact timeline, but I'll get with Randy.
Yeah, I've also gotten a complaint on that property, so if you would, we'd like to know when that's going to
Yes.
happen. Soon, let's get something definitive, please.
Yep.
Okay, that good enough, Harry?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Mayor, I'll give you a quick update on the CDBG project. That's the Apple Ridge, Morrow, and Orr project. That is a badly needed sewer rehabilitation project. It is partially paid for by a grant through the CDBG program, so that will pay for half of that project. That's a $1.2 million project. The grant will pay for $600,000 of that project. The project will rehabilitate the existing sewer lines in the residential areas of the Morrow and Orr and Apple Ridge community areas. It will also provide a new force main from the Apple Ridge lift station to where that dumps into the gravity flow system further north of that line. So it's a good project, it's a badly needed project, and we were happy to be able to apply for and get that grant.
Thank you, Charles.
Any questions related to that?
What's the estimated time on that?
We don't have a contract start time. We're just now advertising that for bid. So as we move along, get a little further down the line, we'll be able to give you an estimated start time on that.
Answer your question. The kicker is going to be pipe these days because pipe is somewhat hard to get. So the board may have to address this project a little bit differently than it's addressed others. Don't know yet as far as that manufacturing community across the United States as they make pipe. There was a fire at a rosin plant and it all kind of went sideways. So we've got pipe problems and may not have pipe problems by the time this is both water and sewer, Marcus. You just can't hardly get it sometimes. So it slows projects down. May not have a problem by the time this gets to bid and as the bid is awarded, but we'll keep you apprised of such. So it is ready to bid though, and it is out for bid. It is advertised in the paper. Expect those bids when, do you know?
Angela, do you have that bid date? I apologize. She sent me that earlier today, but I can't remember
Matthew?
the exact date off the top of my head. I thought it was the 19th, but I may be wrong.
It is the 10th.
The 10th, okay. It's off on that.
So we'll open bids on the 10th, and it will be at the second board meeting in September when we'll come in here and city engineer will make a recommendation as to which vendor to award that to.
Right.
Then we'll issue a start date and it'll progress from there.
Yeah, at that time, we'll have a little better idea of time of construction and start date.
Jared, it's also going to be invasive because they'll be getting in every manhole down there. So rehabbing those sewer lines between manholes. So it's going to be very invasive, but much needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good project. We're excited about it.
All right. Go ahead, Charles.
Mayor, I have 3 items. Permission to take those together?
Yes, sir.
Item 1 is to approve the following emergency repairs from WW Solutions and authorize payment of the same. 1A is a sewer repair at 327 Cornerstone Drive in the amount of $5,256.16. 1B is a water repair at 1,551 West Government Street in the amount of $5,592. Both of these projects were necessary due to a loss of service for the immediate resident and our business in that area. Item 2 is consideration to approve the Penn Credit Corporation agreement for collection of services and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the same. Item 3 is consideration to approve an agreement with Labor Finders to provide general labor at a cost of $17.14 per hour and authorize the mayor to execute all related documents.
Something, a curiosity question, actually. The Penn Credit agreement requires insurance of them, their liability, et cetera. We're requiring automobile liability. Why are we requiring automobile liability of them?
You know, that's kind of a standard part of the agreement. If they are in an automobile and they have an issue, we don't want that to somehow come back to us if they're involved in the execution of their duties. So we can certainly look at taking that out if it does not affect us. I think Mark's.
Well, I mean, I have no objection leaving it in if they don't. I just thought it was just a mute issue.
Alderman Middleton, this clause, this is their agreement that I tweaked. I didn't tweak that part. This was something that they had in there. They must have a general liability package that includes the cybercrime and the whole 9 yards, that it's part of it. But no, we didn't put an independent requirement. Actually, this is an agreement that is the same agreement that we've done previously with them after we marked it up. So no, we didn't add that. That was part of what they had in there.
Okay. And
Thank you, Mark.
I have one other question. Can you kind of explain a little bit about this $17.14 per hour for labor finders?
So-
General labor. So
So that is for general labor services. For example, if we need an additional laborer or two or three for a week or two or three, we contact them and they would provide those persons at that rate. If you look at what we generally pay a standard laborer, when you add on all of the labor burden, this is very competitive. We will go through times where we may need 3 people to help us with additional labor work, but we don't need them for the whole year.
So this would be temporary labor?
Yes, it is temporary labor. Now, some of those may be for a month and some may be for 3 days. It would depend on the need. For example, we've been having a few issues with people being out for various reasons, some of those being illness. This would allow us to be able to call them, bring a couple people in. It will be just general labor, but it'll be another resource for us, and it is cost effective, especially compared to what it costs us to bring people in and hire them and provide benefits. Outside of what we do in the summer, it's difficult to get seasonal labor.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for
Mayor,
the questions.
I have a
Yes.
question about the PEN credit agreement. I know in previous years when we've used them, the results were not very good. Do we have any kind of records of what we've turned over to them and what they've collected in the past?
I do not. It has been a while since we used them. I know we've had varying levels of success over the past couple of years, but we don't feel like we're pursuing our bad debt the way we should be. And they do provide the service. Now, I could go back and pull what they did prior, but it's been several years since
I think we
worked
turned
with them.
over several $1 million to them, and they collected about $16,000, if I remember correctly. I would like to make a recommendation to pull that from the agenda until we know something.
What would you like to know? How much we?
What we've turned over to them and what the history is of what they've collected.
I don't have any problem pulling it off the agenda. That's okay. I remember going through a very long request for proposals maybe 2 years ago, and we couldn't find anybody but them. And I remember Alderman Middleton spent a lot of time working through that contract, but we kind of got down to only one provider. It's kind of the trap we got into. There may be another out there. Perhaps we need to do another request for proposals and see if anybody else has come along and might be interested. Those of you in the audience, I can't remember the number. I know it's well above $3 million of bad debt where people leave the community and move to Alabama or move to Walla Walla, Washington or something and don't pay their water bill. It's that type of debt they leave us with. Every city has bad debt that you can't collect on, and you can't do anything about it. You just have, it sits on your book. And maybe one day they'll be coming through Brandon and the police officer will get them on Highway 80 or something, and we'll say, oh, look at here or something. But, you know, so I'm glad to pull that. And
nobody's going to spend a lot of time and money on a $150 bill.
Right.
I understand that, but I just, if I remember correctly,
No.
they didn't collect any.
I got you. I understand. It's just what came out to begin with, where we turned over X million dollars worth of debt to somebody to clean up. And, you know, there's just a little success in doing that. I just didn't want anybody in the audience thinking that we were given the opportunity to collect money and we aren't receiving that, because they don't receive compensation. They receive a portion of what they collect and we get the rest of it.
That's correct.
So anyway.
Excuse me, do you know what that percentage is that we're paying them for collection?
So this,
It is 20%.
20%.
Of the total dollars collected, unless they have to refer to an attorney, then the total is 33% out of which they pay.
I really think that's some of the problem. With the smaller balances, a $250 balance, you're not going to be able to put much time in it if all you're reaping is a 20%. So we may want to consider upping that ante and attract some others.
Okay, so we're going to strike that one, pull it, and maybe have a work session next time or the time after that and see what we can pull up. So Ms. Angela, even if that's an RFP going back like we did last time, and consideration to maybe go 50-50 or something on collections to where we at least eliminate some of that old debt, possibly.
What's the new law?
I've got to go check and see. I don't know how high you can go. That was in accordance with the old law or with the current law, but it may have gone up. I'll just have to go look and see. I haven't looked at it.
You know what? But the new law that the state passed
About the percentage?
About collecting on tax refunds, allowing municipalities to collect on tax
That's true,
refunds.
that does exist,
Okay.
and I believe we're using that.
hasn't been very successful.
Okay.
You got that one shot, and if they moved out of state and you're not following this
So Ms. Bean doesn't have a microphone in front of her, but she's saying is you can tie into, if somebody relocates in the state of Mississippi and they fill out a income tax form, that there are methods to go through to get that refund back to you if necessary. So there are methods that the state's trying to do.
And we've done a variety of those. We've worked with the county. We've even had methodology in place where they couldn't get a car tag until they paid the debt they owed the city. So
Okay.
we have engaged in those, but we still have people that we can't get to using those methods.
All right, so we're going to remove item 2 from that, and you'll be voting on item 1 and 3. Talia and Harry, have y'all followed this conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're voting on 1 and 3, and we'll put 2 down for a future work session and continued conversation. Is there a motion to approve item 1 and 3 under Public Works? All right, motion by Ms. Talia Dobbs, second by Ms. Sharon Womack. Any further question, comment? Thank you for the conversation. Appreciate that. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mayor, Board.
Thank you. All right, under Parks and Rec. It's not me tonight. It's not me. Hello, Ms. Dawn.
Hello. I have 2 items. May I take them together, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Number 1, request permission to remove inactive seasonal employees from the payroll system effective August 17th, 2021. Number 2, request permission to approve 601 Sports as the lowest and best quote received to be the vendor for the 2021 Fall Youth Sports uniforms.
Thank you, Ms. Dawn. Is there a motion to approve those 2 items? Motion by Mr. Dwight Middleton, second by Mr. Harry Williams. Any comment or question? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. 7-0, Mr. Baker. You following? Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Take all these together, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Item 1, declare $45,080 as forfeited funds, authorize deposit into the drug seizure account, and authorize disbursements to the Rankin County Sheriff's Department and Rankin County District Attorney's Office pursuant to the memo. Second item, request permission to declare surplus 1 2000 Crown Victoria, last 4 of the VIN 4699, and a 2008 Crown Victoria, last 4 of 9491, and 1 2008 Crown Victoria, last 4 9492, which are no longer in use or value to the city. Authorized the sale of the same at auction and deposit into the drug seizure fund. Third item, accept the resignations of Patrolman Justin Edwards effective August 19th, 2021, and Sergeant Drew Decker effective August 30th, 2021.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to approve those 3 items? Motion by Mr. Luke Coker. Second by Mr. Jared Crane. Any further discussion, comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. 7-0, Mr. Baker. Board, we will have an executive session. Before we take a vote on that, there were 2 more items under my pile in here that I wanted to mention to you in public comment, and they got by me. One, we have completed the paperwork for the $300,000 grant, and all that is in order. We're waiting for that funding to fall into our checking account, and when it does, we'll begin some renovation and improvements in the big room in City Hall. So all that has been taken care of. Second thing is, I put a note flyer on your desk. There will be a call for projects from the Metropolitan Planning Organization. There's $25,500,000 that will be doled out to a variety of projects in the Tri-County area. We will be putting together a list that we will bring you again in the next few weeks as to the projects on behalf of Community Development and Public Works that we feel are necessary and will fall into this category. Seeking your approval to submit those for approval. And I think on that, if every one of you has that page that's coming this fall, with the award to be made in February. So we got a little time to plan. We already have some thoughts and ideas, but we are very glad to see the opportunity coming for additional funding for transportation. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to retire for executive session. Pardon me? Considering the need, that's right. Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack. Second by Mr. Chris Vinson. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you very much. And we will retire to determine the necessity of being in executive session.